at a private hospital in late night yesterday in Mumbai after brief illness. The Tata Group under him went on to become the salt to aerospace business behemoth with a presence across 100 countries. Mr. Tata was born into the influential Tata family, and he's known for his visionary leadership and philanthropic efforts. Briefly, Mr. Tata was born on December 28, 1937, in Mumbai, his birth city as well as where he resided for the most of his life, to parents Naval Tata and mother Soni Tata. I have with me a panel across the country of Hindu reporters who are joining live here to discuss Mr. Tata's life and his pet projects, his philanthropy, and his role in shaping the company that it is today. Firstly, let me go live to Lalatendu Mishra, our senior business reporter from Bombay, who joins us to give us an overview of Mr. Tata's life and particularly his involvement of the Tata with the Tata Group once he became chairman in the 1990. Thank you so much, Lalatendu, for joining us.
I'm live. Thank you very much for getting me on the show. I have watched Mr. Tata very close quarters since he joined the group as chairman. Nobody knew that he became a chairman when suddenly J.R.D. Tata, who was aging, perhaps at the age of 86, that is exactly the same time when Ratan Tata passed away, at the same age. He decided to have his successor, and he chose Ratan Tata, who was that time leading a company called Nelco. It's a very small company that he was leading.
Right.
Before that, he joined the Tata Group at the shop floor in the 60s at
In
Tata Steel.
Jamshedpur.
Yeah, yeah. So from
Yeah.
there, he gradually came to the notice of Mr. J.R.D. Tata, who was mostly staying outside. If you see, J.R.D. Tata was born in Paris, and he
Right.
died in Geneva, Switzerland. So he was mostly, you can call him a non-resident chairman, um, pursuing his passion for aviation, the father of Indian aviation, as you know. He used to fly there, he used to stay abroad most of the time. So that time that led to a lot of independent leaders, like Rusi Modi or Darbari Seth or Ajit Kerkar. They tried controlling their companies because there's nobody there. They used to
Right.
control their
Right.
profit dump. So when Ratan Tata came in, he faced a lot of resistance. Nobody thought Ratan would be named as the successor. As you
Right.
know,
For one,
knowing
he's
that
yeah.
he was not the son
Yeah,
of
just
J.R.
briefly.
Tata.
That's right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just briefly to interrupt you there, Lalatendu. One is he wasn't the son of J.R.D. Tata, and secondly,
No, he
he
was
has
not the son
always
of
also
J.R.D.
come
Tata.
across.
He
Good.
was
Yeah,
not the
he'd
son of
also
J.R.D.
always.
Tata.
Yeah, that's
He,
that's
yeah,
that's what
yeah,
I was
yeah,
reiterating, and I said he also came across as a very reticent person, not quite willing to take over, if I understand
yeah,
correctly,
yeah,
from the
yeah.
various parties.
Very, very shy. Very. He never thought that he will be named as the chairman, and managing big companies like Tisco. That time it was called Tisco, which under Ratan Tata is rebranded as Tata Steel. Similarly,
Right.
Telco, Tata Motors was known as Telco. So under Ratan Tata, what happened? Initially he has to fight a lot to ease these people out. When I, for the first time, I met Mr. Ratan Tata in Delhi. I was in Delhi from 89 to 95. So there was a product launch function. It was he who introduced smaller vehicles in Tata Motors. Earlier, Tata Motor was known as a truck maker. So, in the
Right.
90s, you must have seen this car called Sierra, Tata Estate, and Tata Sumo.
That's
Tata
right.
Sumo still exists. So, there is a product launch in Delhi at Taj Palace Hotel near Dulakoa. And for the first time, I saw Ratan Tata. When you hear the name of Tata, you get goosebumps. So you have a young man, the tall, around more than 6 feet tall. So that was the first time I met him. I came down to Bombay in 1995. Then you see all the battles, boardroom battles happened at Bombay House. Rushi Modi walking out, So gradually he took 4 or 5 good 6, 7 years to ease all these people out, put his men to run businesses, rebranded the companies, Tata Motors, get the Tata name. Also, the logo that you see was conceived by him during his time. Those days, the
Right.
holding of the
Right.
company Tata Sons was not too much. There was fear of being hostile takeover. You have seen the L&T being taken over by two giants who were eyeing that. Then AIM Naik has to fight it out. So Ratan Tata realized, if I don't increase the holding of the Tata Sons in every company to a reasonable level, then there are good companies and people may take it over. So he gradually bought back, he utilized money, Tata Sons money, to buy back shares and increase the holding of the. And he created the retirement age, because these people are there till 90 years, 80 years. Nobody was telling anything, and running this company as their fiefdoms. Uh, then
Fascinating. Yeah.
that period was a stage of consolidation. Making everybody acceptable that this guy
Right.
can take it. So it went on. Then as you know,
So, and this
it was
this sort of coincided with India's liberalization period, isn't it,
absolutely,
Lalatendo? So it was,
absolutely
yeah. So
1991, 1991 was the
yeah. So
liberalization. He took over at
yeah.
90.
So was
There
there
he
a?
died.
I mean, did he already sort of have that foresight to realize that the business landscape is going to sort of drastically change? And because of course today it's such a global conglomerate, as you just pointed out, there were these disparate groups, and today it's such a global brand, an iconic brand. And as you said, even there are certain symbols that stand out as a sort of a Tata product. So did he already envision this sort of a trajectory in as he took over?
Correct, correct. Tata, he extended the product line from trucks to smaller cars. You have seen the Indica. Initially it was a failure. It became a
That's right.
taxi. When it became a product, become taxi, then doesn't have value. The legend is that he wanted to sell off the passenger car business to Ford. I have not verified it, but Ford rejected it, saying that why did you build it? Then Legion has it that that he took revenge by buying out JLR in 2008, I believe, because quickly he bought. Tata Tetley was uh, acquired maybe around 2001, that time. Make Tata Tea a global brand. Then Chorus, Tata Steel was not that big company. They're having 2-3 million production. So all of a sudden, having Chorus gave a big name to Tata. He didn't realize that it will be so loss making, but he took that risk.
Right. Right.
Then JLR was bleeding. But today, if Tata Motors products are successful, if Tata Motors have become number three, giving tough time to Hyundai, is due to the JLR DNA that has come to all these cars that you see, the fancy cars that we're having. They are about 12% market share. Uh, so that is
Right.
Tata Motors. Tata Steel, he got to a lot of new businesses. Telecom was not there. There are 4 or 5 businesses lying there. That number of companies, I believe there were 30 companies. So today you have got 90 or 100 companies. Telecom he got. Obviously, telecom, they suffered a lot of losses. So it's all in
Right.
business, you have to take risk. So he was that risk taker.
Right.
He was very mild as a
Right.
person, but while dealing with his detractors, he was ruthless.
Right. So clearly a very astute businessman and a backroom operator, from what
Absolutely,
you
absolutely,
described.
absolutely. He was supported by
Um,
a
uh,
well-educated board. Uh, then, then after that phase, you see he wanted to retire. Because he has set the age limit for retirement as 75, so he had to
right.
retire. And he chose Cyrus Mistry to. Cyrus is just like a son. Cyrus was related to him in the sense. I'll tell you for the interest of the viewers. Ratan Tata is the son of Neville Tata. Naval Tata has two sons, Ratan Tata and Jimmy Tata. Not many people know about Jimmy Tata. He always stayed under the radar. Then Naval Tata, when Ratan was 10-year-old and Jimmy was 9 or 8-year-old, the parents separated. Uh,
Right.
uh, Naval Tata got married to Simon Tata, who's from the France, who's from France. She's a French lady. She came to India,
Right. Right.
and they have their son called Noel Tata. So
Right.
Noel Tata is her brother.
Right. Right. So it's
Okay.
actually quite a spread out family tree as well. It's not as sort of a linear, tree
Yeah,
as
yeah. It's not the
many
son to
business
son to
families
son.
tend to have.
It's a Tata
Yeah.
family. So Noel is married to Palonji Mistri's daughter. So Palonji
Right. With the
Mistri, whose
Shapoorji
family owns
Pallonji group.
80%, 18% stake in Tata Sons. So that is how they are related. So Palonji Mistri
Right.
has two sons and one daughter. Alu Mistri is married to Ratan Tata's half brother, and uh, uh, Cyrus and Sapurji are the two brothers. So Cyrus is always in the Tata Sons board. So he chose Cyrus to succeed him. So Cyrus
Right.
at 2012 he retires. For a year he mentors Cyrus. Then he retires in 2012. Goes on to his passion, Tata Trust, carrying dogs. I'll share a story with you I've
Right.
written about in 2017 about street dogs. The amount of respect they get in the Bombay House. That is another story we would talk about. So that 4 5 years, 4 years, 2012 to 2016, there are a lot of introspection. Maybe Ratan Tata realized that he has not given the reins to the right person. He started thinking how to ease him out. So
Right.
he did all the thing. In 2016, he was removed. Mr. Ratan Tata, that time possibly he was more than 70, nearly 80 year old. Okay. So he again came in as interim chairman, uh, set things, set the house in order. He appointed N. Chandrasekharan, who was leading Tata's TCS that time, to become the leader. Then he
Right.
went on back to the, but he was having close control on the Tata. Nothing was happening
Of
without
the
his
group.
consent.
Right.
Even the
Till the
airline
end, he was
that
right.
was
Till
started or
the end, he
acquired.
was quite in. Right. Right. So till the end, he sort of had a firm grip on the affairs of the Tata Group.
Absolutely.
Let me now go to Vinaya Deshpande, who is our Bombay bureau chief, and following closely all the events that's taking place in Bombay. The state government there has announced a state funeral, and the body is lying in state at the National Center for Performing Arts in Bombay, where dignitaries have been streaming in. Vinaya, if we can have you fill us up about what's taking place in Bombay right now.
Yes, Kunal. In fact, we are seeing that as the mortal remains are placed at NCPA at Nariman Point, where several
Vinaya, we can't
dignitaries.
see you. We can't see you on camera.
Can you see me now?
No, your camera has switched off. Maybe
Okay.
maybe
Um, is it visible now? Because my camera seems to be on, but
apologies to our viewers. This is glitches as we go along. We're all doing this virtually. Why don't I go to Jagriti, who is standing by in Delhi, to sort of fill us in, particularly on the Tata Group's long involvement in the aviation sector, which has in fact lately been rather volatile. And Jagriti has been giving us top end stories on what's been going on, for instance, on SpiceJet and the sort of consolidation between Vistara and Air India after it took over. Jagrati, and you've been covering aviation for decades now. So if you can maybe fill us up first about the Tata Group's involvement, and of course Ratan Tata's involvement personally in the aviation sector.
Yes. Kunal, I would first like to talk about some of the big photo op moments that we've seen with Mr. Ratan Tata, and the one that comes to our memory, the most recent one is really when Airbus brought the A350 to India for a demonstration, and Ratan Tata wasn't keeping very well. He had restricted mobility, and with the help of an ambulift in I think it was Mumbai, where he was taken on board, and he went inside the cockpit, sat on the jump seat, and this was when really Air India had already been privatized, and they were contemplating placing an order for a new aircraft. And eventually, we did see that last year when Air India placed an order for about 470 planes, A350 was among them. And he's also, there are images of him flying the world's most, at that time, advanced fighter jets. This was F-16 fighter jet and Boeing's F-18 Super Hornet back in the year February 2007, during the Bangalore Air Show, when he was the co-pilot, and he also commanded the plane for a bit. He took control. So these are the big images that really stand out and speak of his association with aviation. Of course, he succeeded JRD Tata, who's known as the father of Indian aviation. He
Right.
also he of course held licenses to fly both jets and helicopters.
Oh, that's
Um,
fascinating. I don't think I knew that. Yeah.
but as far as I mean, of course, just to sort of retrace Air India's journey as well. So it was back in the year 1932. We all know that Tata Aviation Service, the forerunner to Tata Airlines and Air India, took to the skies. But this was nationalized in 1953 under Jawaharlal Nehru. And though the father of the Indian aviation and then chairman of the Tata Group, JRD Tata, continued at the helm of affairs on the request of Nehru, and continued to be the chairman of Air India. And then later, I think it was the year 1985, 1986, when Ratan Tata was also the chairman of Air India. But
Right.
it's interesting, between 1990 and 2011, before Vistara and Air Asia India was set up by Tata Sons in collaboration with Air Asia Berhad as well as Singapore Airlines. It was a wait of about 21 years for them to and re-enter the territory, and set up airlines as joint ventures with international players. And if you give me just 2 minutes or so, the first proposal was back in March 1990, when the VP Singh government approached JRD Tata and Ratan Tata to ask them whether they would be interested to set up a new domestic airline. Um, uh,
Right.
they expressed their interest. They prepared a proposal, but the government fell. Then in
Yeah.
1994, Civil Aviation Minister Madhav Rao Sindhya announced cancellation of the Air Corporation Act, which led to opening up of the sector to private players. The Tatas too decided to enter the fray, and while JRD had passed away, Ratan Tata took charge of this project. And around the same time, the Singapore PM, Go Chok Tong, met with PM Narasimha Rao, and also, expressed his desire to set up a joint venture. And they said that they were interested in doing this with Tata Sons. So eventually, a proposal was floated, but there was political opposition. There were two major objections raised by the then civil aviation minister. One was the entrance of a major player, major foreign player, and also apprehensions whether there was enough demand in the Indian market for an entry for setting up of another airline, and what it would mean for Indian airlines. Eventually, it was
Okay.
in 2011 that the government allowed foreign direct investment into airlines. And we saw the setting up of Air Asia India and the Stara in the year 2013-14. Of course, Air India was privatized then later in 2022, and returned to the Tata fold. Now it is said, senior government officials said that Tata at that point already owned co-owned two airlines, and they were not very
Right.
keen to, um, buy Air India
Yeah,
from.
right.
Yes, yes. But the Indian government pushed for this, really pursued the matter. If you recall, the first time when the tender was put out, there was no interest. Nobody
Yes,
came
absolutely.
forward.
That's right.
And
Yeah.
then,
But sort of
yes,
seen as a white elephant. Yeah.
yeah. And then again, the terms of bidding were reworked. There were substantial changes. The government said it will completely exit the airline. There were other changes made as well. And then finally, we saw in January of 2022, Tata Sons taking over Air India. So this, in short, is the history of Mr. Ratan Tata's association with Indian aviation.
That's right. Yeah. So it's really fascinating. I mean, going by what you've said, he not only was he a passionate some pilot, clearly from from the sort of anecdotal information that you gave, it's he seems to have taken a keen interest. But as you say, by the time, I guess it was a bittersweet moment by the time Air India really came back into the Tata fold, and it's right now going through a certain bit of turmoil, which you've been reporting substantially on, with particularly on the merger and other things. Of course, that could probably wait for a later day, since we're more talking about Ratan Tata today. So let me try and see. So thank you so much, Agrati. We may come back to you again. But let me see if we can go back to Vinaya in Bombay, if it's possible. If the technical glitch has been resolved, there we have it. Vinaya, thank you so much again. So maybe if you can walk us through with what's going on in Bombay. I understand there's a state funeral planned later in the day.
Well, yes, Kunal. In fact, the state government has already announced this to be a state mourning, and Maharashtra government has declared that this Ratan Tata will be given a state funeral. The cabinet meeting took place just a while ago, and the Maharashtra government has also ratified a proposal saying that they will now approach the center seeking Bharat Ratna to be conferred on Ratan Tata, even as his mortal remains are placed at NCPA, where we are seeing a beeline of several top dignitaries from the business world, from political world, from several other walks of life who have been paying their last respects to Ratan Tata. But though I am not a business journalist, I can talk about the association that Ratan Tata has had with this island city. And one of the most iconic images that one remembers are during the 26/11 terror attacks, when the terror attacks were going on, the kind of steely resolve that Ratan Tata showed, in fact, on the Kulaba end of the Taj Hotel, where the terror attacks
Right,
were taking place in 26/11
right,
2008. We were seeing that Ratan Tata was himself monitoring everything. He showed great resolve in reopening the hotel soon thereafter. In fact, he visited the Taj Mahal Palace Hotel, where several of his employees were injured. 11 of his employees were lost during that terror attack. And within 2 weeks, the Taj
right.
Public Service Welfare Trust was also established, where financial assistance was provided. So, from those were some of the lasting memories. In fact, almost 12 years later, I remember he had also posted on Instagram talking about that entire destruction, calling it wanton destruction. In his post in 2020, he put up a picture of the Taj Mahal Palace and said, "The wanton destruction that took place 12 years ago today will never be forgotten. But what is more memorable is the way Mumbai, as a diverse people, came together, casting aside all differences to vanquish the terrorism and destruction on that day. Today, we certainly can mourn the ones we lost and honor the sacrifices of the brave who helped conquer the enemy. But what we must applaud is the unity and the acts of kindness and sensitivity which we should cherish and which hopefully will continue to shine in the years." The steely resolve that he showed there, extremely soft spoken person, but when it came to important things, the kind of decisions that he took, the Taj experience was one such experience. May it be health sector, may it be education, may it be research, the way the entire
In fact,
philanthropic activity.
Miriam, if I can interrupt, when we were chatting earlier, and in the sort of the thick of WhatsApp messages that have been going on every day, within the editorial team in the Hindu. One of the things that you brought up was how he was very passionate about the arts, and he really sort of cultivated artists without really much pomp and show. And you in fact even had an instance that you were mentioning. Maybe you could talk about that, and of course his other philanthropic contributions.
Well, absolutely, Kunal. That's one of the most important examples, really, of how Ratan Tata never mentioned about the kind of philanthropic activities he did, but the kind of passion he had towards art. Because of my connections with several Dalit workers and activists as well, I had come in contact with an artist who did not even have the means to make ends meet, and he was looking to get some kind of encouragement for his art. Ratan Tata somehow, because this artist used to stay in the Kulaba slums, Ratan Tata came to know about it. And to that artist's surprise, Ratan Tata gave him an entire section in the Taj Mahal Hotel for the display of his art. Now, come to think of an artist, and Ratan Tata never talked about it to anybody. Nobody has this on record because of, there are no records of this. I came in touch with this, Dalit artist who happened to talk about it, and he was overwhelmed really, because not only could he meet Ratan Tata was kind enough to allow him to come inside the house to see the artwork. He also later drew a few portraits of Ratan Tata, but at the same time, he was so indebted that this act of kindness and this gesture, where there was absolutely no talk about it, but an entire section in the Taj Mahal Hotel being given to a Dalit artist who had absolutely no means to be there. He said he had never seen Taj Mahal Hotel, and I happened to meet him at the Taj Mahal Hotel, and he said he could have never walked in the aisles of that hotel had Ratan Tata not been so kind. So several such instances where the philanthropic work that he did, he never mentioned about it, he never talked about it. In fact, one of the most important examples is also of the Tata Medical Center, where cancer care, under him, the way that entire institute picked up how cancer care, it's one of the biggest places where people come from, not all over the country, but all over the continent, in order to seek some of the best cancer treatments. So, his commitment to art, to education, to research has been phenomenal. And with somebody who's stayed in Mumbai, having seen all these kinds of facets, how we, every time we walked through near the Bombay House, we saw how the strays were treated there. The stray dogs were absolutely given great treatment, and everybody knew about, how loving Ratan Tata was towards the stray dogs, and how the Bombay House was also a place where stray dogs were given a welcome treatment. So all these facets are the kind of unknown facets, or the less talked facets about a man who was such a huge business tycoon. Kunal, back to you.
Thank you so much, Vinaya. In fact, I really do want to get Lalatendu's anecdote about the the dogs, but maybe we will come to that a little later. I wanted to go across to Ravi Kumar, my colleague who is in Hyderabad. And actually, Hyderabad has been one of the places where the Tata Group has been making considerable investments over the past couple of decades. And in fact, Tata Aerospace is set up there, and Ravi Kumar is our long-time business correspondent who's been tracking all these developments. Ravi Kumar, if could you tell us? Largely, the group is often known as something which is very Bombay and North India centric. Of course, there was Tata Steel in Jamshedpur. There's sort of the aviation sector that we spoke about, but it's really its tentacles, if we can say it, really permeates across the country. And in Telangana has suddenly had emerged as a huge space of the group. And what are your specific instances that you can recall of Mr. Ratan Tata's own involvement in Hyderabad or Telangana? To you, Ravi
Yeah,
Kumar.
yeah. Thanks, Kunal, and good afternoon to all our viewers. Uh, I I don't have too many kind of interactions or the opportunities to attend functions in which Mr. Tata was there. But then the few ones that I have attended, I can vividly still remember Mr. Ratan Tata was here in November 2015. to inaugurate T Hub, which is our uh, possibly one of the
Startup.
largest sub such incubator. And Kunal, you ought to be there to get a sense of what I am saying, as in as he entered the auditorium in Triple IT Hyderabad, where this function was being held. It just reverberated, as in there were so many startups, so many people from across walks of life who were waiting there just to catch a glimpse of him. And then he went on to talk about startups. Here was this veteran industrialist who has been actively associated with a group from salt to steel to software to aviation, aerospace. And he was talking about new age companies, about which there was at that point in time a lot of people viewed them with a lot of suspicion as to what exactly is going to happen, because no one knew what they were actually getting into. But
Right.
then
Those
he
people
said,
would call them unicorns and whatnot, and they have $1 billion valuations. And probably
right,
that was that he had the foresight back then to see these things coming. Yeah.
absolutely. And he said they are the new faces of India, and India should kind of handhold them, mentor them. Of course, it was a known fact them also that Mr. Tata had invested in several startups. Of course, I am sure there were several more that were eyeing having Tata on board either as an investor or as a mentor. So from
Right.
that perspective, that meeting was very interesting. And then he later addressed the startups and also had an interaction with others. Coming
Right.
back to your question on Tata Group's presence in Hyderabad with regard to aerospace and defense, I can say that they have a large footprint in Hyderabad, and that has to be seen in the backdrop of Hyderabad being very strong in defense and aerospace sector. For the
Right.
last
Right.
several years now, we have lot of DRDO establishments here, and as a
Right.
result we have a lot of ancillary component supplier units which have come up over these years. As far as Tata
Right.
Group's presence is concerned, they have their Tata Advanced Systems here, which in turn
Sort of an
has
early mover in the defense sector, particularly after private investments were allowed, and Tata seems to have really taken on a lot of those contracts to manufacture components and then research and etc. Isn't it?
absolutely, and that they did at a different level and at a scale. See, earlier we
Right.
were talking about typically small and medium enterprises, or MSMEs, if you may call them that way. But then here, this group gets into this sector at a time which was absolutely right, as in India was opening up. There was so much emphasis on India building its own defense resources, getting into aerospace and defense in a big way. So Tata Advanced Systems in turn got into joint ventures with Lockheed Martin. One of their first ventures was with Sikorsky and Boeing
Okay.
also. Plus, let's also not forget that Tata has a large presence of its Tata consultancy services in Hyderabad. I
Right.
remember
Absolutely.
the head of TCS in Hyderabad once telling us that they are the largest private sector employer here, and
In Hyderabad,
there is
the city of
in
Hyderabad. That's
Hyderabad. Yes,
right.
I think he mentioned a number of 60,000 plus, if my memory serves me right. And uh, we should also look at the transformation Tata Group successfully did to certain areas around Hyderabad because of their companies like TCS and their joint ventures in the aerospace and defense sector.
Right.
Adibatla, which is about say about under 50 kilometers from Hyderabad, is one such location. It hosts TCS as one of the largest campuses. Plus, it also has the joint venture setups there. So no
Right.
wonder today when the condolences started pouring in from several people in Telangana, the Chief Minister Revant Reddy said there can be no one, there can be never another Ratan Tata. Whereas the Industries and IT Minister Sridhar Babu went a step ahead and said a portion of the outer ring road connecting to Adibatla should be named after Ratan Tata.
Right, right. Wow. So quite a, I mean, quite an outpouring, and really clearly now, as Vinaya said, a possible posthumous Bharat Ratna, and then all of this. And usually these are, we all know, reserved for mostly political leaders. But in this case,
Right.
he really did straddle a much of society. So I think that the outpouring is sort of really genuine in that sense. So Ravi Kumar, thank you so much for that sort of overview, and particularly of its more recent presence in Telangana of the groups. If I can go to Shiv Sahai, joining us from near Kolkata. This is particularly about Ratan Tata's quite passionate interest in automobiles and bringing access to the common man of four-wheelers and automobiles. West Bengal being one of the places where Tata Motors initially wanted to set up its business, and launched the Tata Nano car in 2008, which it did much in Gujarat. But I just wanted to get Shiv Sahai's perspective on that time period and how Ratan Tata probably handled it, and possibly what West Bengal might have even lost. Shiv?
So, hi Kunal. I was reflecting on the developments way back in 2008. It was October only, the same month, and 16 years ago, when Ratan Tata announced his plans to pull out from Singur. Now, if we take a little background, so 2006, the left-run government comes with a huge mandate. And at the first press conference, at one of the first press conferences, they announced setting up of Singur in 2006. So after that, the whole movement against forcible land acquisition starts and all that. And Ratan Tata had said that we cannot run a plant when our employees are being attacked and bombs are being thrown away. In fact, he had made a statement that if somebody puts a gun to my head, I will not move my head till the trigger is pulled or the person removes gun. And while announcing his decision to pull out of Singur, he made a strong comment that the trigger has been pulled. So it was, the whole state, the whole thing, the state went into there was gloom everywhere. And even 16 years after, uh, uh, it has impacted the politics and economy of the state. The state, West Bengal, hasn't been able to come out of the ghost of Singur. So
Right,
we
right,
were talking about politicians making impact, but Ratan Tata as a businessman has had a huge impact on the politics of West Bengal. So if 2006 was the announcement, the first press conference was about announcement of Nano. 2011, when Mamta Banerjee comes to power, she announces that the land will be returned. So
right.
from there on, the West Bengal government had tried a lot of things, but still, its anti-industry image somehow has stuck to it. It is not that
Right.
Tatas do not have, they have some ventures in West Bengal. They did some investment in retail and in real estate, and then in hospitality sector. But
And of course,
many
there's a lot
feel
of
that
tea estates that they still own
yeah,
in
T is
Gujarat
there.
side.
We have Tata Cancer Hospital also. But many still feel that for West Bengal, which is, a kind of industry starved state, the whole thing could
Yeah,
have been changed had the plant been allowed to, uh,
be set up.
take
Yeah.
take its place. And Singur, even after the land was returned, agriculture couldn't be taken up on that land. And still, even now when elections are held, opposition parties say that we will bring Tatas to West Bengal to invest in West Bengal. So it had such an impact for such a long period of time. 16 years is a
Right.
long time, and we still are talking about that the whole state could have undergone an industrial kind of resurgence had the plant been allowed. And this
Right.
is
In fact,
across political lines.
That's right. I mean, I was just going to add to what you said, saying it's in fact been a continuation of a deindustrialization process in West Bengal, particularly around Calcutta city, which was one of the most industrialized, just around when India attained freedom. And it's quite unfortunate and interesting, as you said,
Yes,
that the sort of the long shadow that the exit of Tata Motors from West Bengal is cast on the state. So
yes,
thanks so much, Shiv, for that perspective. I sort of wanted to go to Amit Bellari, my colleague who's joining me from Ranchi in Jharkhand. We Lalatendo actually touched upon the early years of Ratan Tata as someone who began on the shop floor of Tata Steel in Jamshedpur before he was spotted by his uncle to head the company and go on to become the chairman. So, Amit, what has Ratan Tata meant to? Of course, this was before the bifurcation of Jharkhand. Bifurcation of Bihar into Jharkhand and Bihar. That all this began, but there's been a lasting legacy of Tata Steel. It's in fact called Tata Steel City, very much so even now. So, what's been the lasting impact, and what has been Ratan Tata's association with Jharkhand? If you can sort of get us up to speed on that, Amit.
Well, Kunal, as you know that Jharkhand uh, name is there on the global stage only because of this person, Ratan Tata, because he was a person who not only took Jamshedpur out of India but at the global platform. And this Jharkhand Chief Minister, Mr. Hemant Soren, has announced the mourning for uh, state mourning for one day, because I mean he believed, the Hemant Soren believed that it was Ratan Tata and this Tata family who gave the recognition to Jharkhand, a tribal dominated state, which became a state in 2000 until it was part of Bihar. And just to mark a respect, Chief Minister has announced a mourning for one day. I see, as
Right.
far as this Jamshedpur is concerned, Mr. Tata, I mean, seldom used to, uh, forget that whenever there used to be what you call this, mark the birth anniversary of J.N. Tata, every year he used to visit Jamshedpur, because there is a in Jamshedpur there is a Jubilee Park, which is maintained by the Tata family, and uh, there is a big statue of Jane Tata where every year he used to visit, and this as you all know that Jamshedpur is mostly famous for this Tata steel factory, because this steel
Right.
factory it is the largest factory in the India, which produces nearly around 12 million ton of steel annually. And when this Mr. Tata took over as a chairman, at that time this plant used to produce 2 million, and now it
Right.
has
Oh,
reached,
that's a
now, now it has reached to 12 to 13 million ton. So I mean,
like a 10
Jamshedpur.
time increase, nearly, or 5 time increase. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. I mean, in, in Jamshedpur, the people say that there is a constant challenge of maintaining a balance between man, machine, and nature. And this uh, Ratan Tata has made Jamshedpur feel so proud. As you know that this Durga Puja is going on, and when this news came last night, there were people roaming on the streets, watching the puja pandal, and suddenly people saw on a big screen the news of this sad demise of Ratan Tata, and this entire atmosphere was, started mourning, and this pandal where this they were playing these songs all were stopped, and people, there was a complete silence in the puja pandal soon after this news came. As you know that Durga Puja is going on, so people of
Right.
Jamshedpur people of Jamshedpur believe that Ratan Tata has not only given the name, but it has also given the identity to this city, because people remember it at a global stage only because of this person. So there are so many memories associated with Jamshedpur. As you know that this Jamshedpur city was designed by JRD, and uh, there is
Right,
it
right. There's a
is
very long association of the family with the city itself. Yeah, Amit,
yes.
thank you so much for that. And I think we're really out of time. We're already 45 minutes. We intended to have this for about half an hour. Thanks for that input. If I can maybe in closing go to Ashok Mitran, my colleague, who has been covering the sort of the dignitaries streaming in. To pay tributes to Ratan Tata's body lying in state at the National Center for Performing Arts. Thank you, Ashok, for joining us on your phone. And if you can sort of hear me, maybe you can just run us through what's happening right behind you.
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear. Right now, the National Center for Performing Arts is ready to receive the Home Minister Amit Shah anytime, where the place has been ready for him to pay respects to Ratan Tata. From morning, Mr. Sharad Pawar, Raj Thakre, and former cricketer Ravi Shastri, all of them have come to pay respects. Security has been tightened. Um, the place has been segregated into three parts. One is the media center, and to my left is the place where the VIPs enter, and from the right, from my right is where the Tata family members enter. And so far, uh, senior politicians and business persons like Harsh Goenka have visited and paid their last respects to Mr. Ratan Tata. Uh, and the Oberoi Hotels has been uh, stopped. Uh, the road to Oberoi Hotel has been stopped, which is like
Right,
at the
got
end of
it.
Parliament Point. So,
Yeah,
so that to avoid any vehicle traffic, uh, long lines of people have been arriving from the Tata Group of companies since 9:30 in the morning. The queue has
right.
now right now been stopped because everyone here is waiting for the Home Minister to arrive.
Right. So thank you so much, Ashok. I think it's going to probably be a long day for you. You're going to, be covering this and probably going to the state funeral as well, or maybe not. We have colleagues doing that. Thanks so much for that, and I'll let you go. And that's all we have on our live coverage of the passing away of Ratan Tata, one of the world's best known businessmen who died at a private hospital in Bombay at age 86. Thank you again. I'm Kunal Shankar.